Dear graduates of 2020, we bless you for your vision and hope, for your patience and power, for your devotion to Elon, friends, family. We know that your degrees have come with struggle as well as effort, with sorrow and joy, and loss leading to this happy milestone. We look forward to the day when we can be together again. While we celebrate you from physical distances, our hearts are full of pride and affection, respect and good wishes, and prayers of love for your every success. Will you join with me as we pray? Holy One, God of every blessing, we lift our hearts in praise for those whom you have allowed us to teach and mentor, whose lives are open before your gaze and love. We ask for them your presence, that your blessing follow and be upon them, now and in all the days to come, that their joy and fulfillment may be full. Protect them, support and guide them, lead them into meaningful and hope-filled journeys. Give them enough to enjoy and to share with those in need. Empower them for the work of justice, to be agents of healing and hope in our sorrowing world. We give thanks, O God, for this day of conferral. We celebrate the delight we have in each other, in the gifts of Elon and of your own gracious heart. Let it be so then. Amen.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ann Bullock, and I'm proud to be the Dean of the School of Education. It is my honor to welcome President Book, Provost Valetti, Chaplain Fuller, Directors Carducci and Jackson, and our graduates of the Master of Higher Education class of 2020. A special hello to the MHE faculty, apprenticeship supervisors, Elon community, and families and friends who are joining us online from as far away as New Zealand and as close as the building next door. This is truly an exciting day for all of us as we witness our inaugural cohort's graduation. Rosanna Smith and I talk a lot about this class, about you being our first. And as you have witnessed, being first has a lot of perks, but it has growing pains as well. In life, we remember a lot of firsts. Our first day of school, the first time we drove a car or rode in an airplane, and our first day of college. And while each of these events may not have been perfect, it is our memory to keep. Being first also has impacts on others. Throughout your life, I know you have impacted your family and friends in many positive ways. Thus, the reason many of them are joining us today to celebrate your success. This cohort has also left a lasting impression on our university because of your efforts in your apprenticeships, either alone or in tandem with your supervisors. There have been impacts on Elon students, programs, processes, and curriculums. There are thousands of students who benefited from your work, blogs written, a multitude of conference, departmental, advisory board, and board of trustees presentations, hundreds and hundreds of social media posts, a published co-edited book, and at least 35 drafts that led to the final version of our new strategic plan, Boldly Elon, that will guide our university for the next decade. Your efforts also led to some firsts for the university. Summer school enrollment is at the highest in history. For the first time, alumni are involved in webinars and short classes, bringing them back to the university throughout their career. Elon experiences were honored during Celebrate Week, and the Inn at Elon opened. What a magnificent impact the 14 of you have made on our university. I can only imagine what you will do in the next phase of your career. So for all that you have done for Elon, and most importantly, the impact on our students, all of us in the MHE program, I would like to say, arigato gozaimasu, inaugural class of 2020, Congratulations, best wishes, and thanks for the memories. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Families, friends, faculty, staff, and most importantly, the MHE class of 2020. My name is Shannon Finney. I use she, her pronouns, and I am so deeply honored and humbled that my cohort chose me to speak at this commencement and momentous occasion. While today is certainly not how any of us expected it to be, I am so thankful that we can be here together. I would like to take the next couple minutes to talk about some of the amazing things we've done since August 2018. 658 days ago, I walked onto campus to start my first day of work. I wore a brand new pair of shoes, and I got the worst blisters I've ever had in my entire life. I thought to myself as I pitifully hobbled back to my car that if this was how the first day of the next 2 years was gonna go, that I better buckle up. But I got up the next day, wore some more sensible shoes, and was united with the 13 people who had undoubtedly changed my life, my fellow classmates. 596 days ago, we turned in our first paper for graduate school, a paper on Phelan's A History of American Higher Education and Wilder's Ebony and Ivy. I thought that I knew everything there was to know, and was promptly surprised when I got a B-, the first one of those on a paper that I've gotten as an English major in many years. But that's when I realized that outstanding leaders are lifelong learners and never know it all. 122 days ago, our class landed in the United States after a 10-day study abroad experience in Japan. We fumbled our way through Japanese phrases while there, tried not to get lost on the Japanese subway, and ate a lot of new foods. But we learned that higher education is a field that knows no boundaries. That even with language and cultural barriers, we are entering a field that has an incredible way of connecting people. 14 days ago, we logged off of our final master's class. I know that 2 years ago, the thought of completing our master's degree at home over WebEx seemed laughable, but we managed to persevere and create outstanding work in spite of a global pandemic. Throughout the past years in this program, we've applied theory to practice, reflected, journaled, learned that at Randy Williams University, critique is the truest form of love, and debated whether or not it was a good idea to cut a losing swim team to save a couple bucks from the university budget. There have been tough times, there have been good times, but I cannot imagine any of my times without the 13 of you all. I've learned a lot from my classes and from our work. However, I've learned even more from all of you. I've learned how to be a compassionate advocate like Taylor Swan. I've learned how to be an enthusiastic scholar like Sophia, a thoughtful motivator like Natalie, a charismatic innovator like Taylor Stuck, a passionate ally like Alonzo, an authentic champion like Kiera, an empowering leader like Toby, a confident mentor like Tim, a fearless trailblazer like Jillian, a resilient confidant like Sierra, a dedicated inspiration like Cameron, a selfless advocate like Caroline, and an empathetic changemaker like Katie. As the first cohort to go through this program, we've had many names over the past few years. The class of 2020, the ones, the Big Oaks, the inaugural cohort, guinea pigs, trailblazers, and my personal least favorite, the guinea blazer. But today, we are graduates and we are alumni, and that sounds really great to me. We're entering higher ed in an incredibly certain time, but I know that all of you entering this field alongside of me, there's greatness ahead. I look out at all of you, and I can tell that the future of higher education is incredibly bright. Congratulations, Elon Masters of Arts in Higher Education class of 2020. I'm so proud of us. We did it.
Good afternoon. I am pleased to introduce today's commencement speaker, Dr. Brian Dewsbury. While he is a renowned scholar in teaching and learning methods, he is no stranger to Elon or to the MHE class of 2020. Within days after the students arrived on campus to begin their academic program, they met with Brian and really connected with him, both personally and intellectually. Thank you, Peter Felton, an MHE faculty member and campus leader, for arranging for this meeting. Our students' encounter with Brian symbolized for them what their graduate experience was to be, the why for studying higher education. By serving as commencement speaker today, Dr. Dewsbury is providing a bookend experience for our MHE graduates today. You will enjoy hearing what he has to say, but first let me tell you just a little bit about this most remarkable educator. He was born and raised in Trinidad and Tobago. He came to the U.S. to study biology at Morehouse College in Atlanta, before going on to earn his master's and PhD in biology from Florida International University in Miami. During his doctoral studies, while working as a teaching assistant, he came to realize that for students to succeed academically, faculty and staff must first understand the social context and identities of their students. In other words, in order to teach students well, you have to know students well. He's now at the University of Rhode Island serving as an assistant professor of biology education, where his inclusive teaching methods with STEM courses have increased the retention and success rate of first-generation students of color at unheard of levels. He is sought after nationally and internationally to collaborate on his work. Now, Brian is an extremely busy person. He is a full-time professor, yet he is constantly publishing and researching and consulting and collaborating with others at his institution and across the nation. He's the principal investigator of the Science, Education, and Science Project, the SEAS Project, and is also a fellow of the John N. Gardner Institute. But these two projects are just the tip of the iceberg of his contributions to higher education in the past 12 years, during which time he's published 20 peer-reviewed articles, advised 21 doctoral, master's, and undergraduate student research projects, authored 14 grants securing over $6 million. He's made 68 professional presentations and conducted 42 faculty development workshops. And at the same time, he currently serves as a reviewer for 3 prestigious biology and science journals. He's a busy person. He's received numerous awards and honors for his work, yet the center of his life is his family, his wife and his 2 boys who are 2 and 6 years old. I learned early on that Brian really shies away from speaking engagements on the weekends so that he can be at home spending time with his family. In closing, I want you to know that Brian never wavered in wanting to be your commencement speaker, class of 2020, and your family and friends. He quickly accepted President's book invitation to come here to be the speaker, but when it became apparent he could not be here physically present today, he worked with our wonderful technology staff in order to find a way that he could record and send his speech to us today from his home in Providence, Rhode Island. I believe you will find his message as inspiring as did our inaugural cohort did 2 years ago. And I know that Brian is watching us today, so please join me in offering him a warm round of applause.
Good afternoon. Welcome and congratulations to you, the class of 2020. I really want to share my deepest congratulations to you from the bottom of my heart. I know these 2 years may have felt long, it may have been long, but I want you to look forward to the ways in which each of you, in your own way, in your own profession, in your own role, can be instruments of change in institutions of higher education. I'm sure in January you didn't predict that this would be how you would get your keynote address. I didn't predict it. I had a flight booked. I should be there. It's warmer where you are than where I am. But this means a lot, and I really want to be grateful to my colleagues over at Elon to make this happen still, because you might remember I was there when you began. I was there when the program began, and it meant so much to be a part of that moment and to know how many more special moments this program can create. And I'm sure you're probably thinking that it's a little bit ironic that you are graduating this semester from this program during a time when something that no one really predicted has upended what you have come to assume higher education ought to look like. All right, the last 2 months was crazy, right? I would be remiss to ignore that. And I just want to pause and say, I hope each of you are fine. I hope your family is okay. I hope your friends are okay. I hope you don't have any friends or loved ones who have been negatively impacted by this virus. I hope that you stayed inside. I know you're 6 feet apart right now, so thank you for that. And I promise you can't get anything through this camera, just in case you were wondering. And I hope you had time to reflect. You know, maybe you had a lot more downtime than you had planned to have when this whole thing began. But in these last 2 months, I hope you not only reflected on the impact of the transition, but also the roles and responsibilities that you are about to assume in the next stage of your life. We met 2 years ago, 2018, and I came to Elon and we talked a lot about inclusive teaching and inclusive practices. And at the heart of my message was that regardless of what the subject matter is, regardless of what the content is, the building of relationships, the centering of students, the caring about people, the reaching across ideological spectra is at the very core of what it means to educate anywhere in the world. That was the message. And I want to remind you of one thing. I know it's been 2 years, so it might feel a bit long. We talked a lot about what I call pastoral care. No, I'm not saying that the classroom is a church, but I'm saying that the responsibility that we have to our students is very much like pastoral care than is didactic care. See, I grew up in the Caribbean, and we talked about this in 2018, but I'll remind you, I grew up in the Caribbean, and I grew up as the son of a pastor. I say pastor, not minister, because the word pastor comes from pastoral farming. Pastoral farming is like the tending of sheep, the tending of cattle. See, there's a philosophy that undergirds that, and that philosophy is that you are responsible for your sheep. If something happens to one of your flock, you don't just say, oh well, they should have listened to when I said come on home. You think about what you could have done differently to ensure that everyone else is protected. This is the kind of philosophy that we bring to the classroom, and this is the kind of philosophy that I am urging universities and colleges to bring to their campus. It doesn't take a whole lot to see why this is necessary. Just look around you. Look who is being impacted by COVID. Look at the fact that blacks and Hispanics, who, though they don't make up the same percentage in the US Census, are being disproportionately killed by this virus. Because see, what you have to understand is the reasons why people die aren't necessarily because of the virus. There are inefficiencies and inequity in the system that the virus exposes. It just takes advantage of weaknesses that already exist. So when your campus switched from face-to-face to online, when you had to make a sudden change to teaching students over the internet, who on your campus were most impacted by that? Who are the ones who most likely didn't have the internet bandwidth necessary to log on 6 times a day? Who had internet at all? Who had food insecurity the minute they walked off your campus? Who had housing insecurity that they depended on your campus to help relieve? See, the lesson here is this. It's not that Corona caused students to have, it's not that Corona caused students to suffer from inequity. It exposed it. They were with us all along. So the questions you have to ask yourself when you reflect upon these last 2 months, when we were in a time when there was no Corona, was your campus, was your position, was your department, was your college doing all it can to make sure that those students who were on your campus having the same experience or a similar experience to everybody else who weren't at the bottom of the social barrel? That's the thing to think about, because if we come back in September, if you go on to your next institution and this isn't at the heart of what you focus your professional life on, then we missed a lot of what we could have learned in this program, and we missed a lot of what we could have learned in higher ed. You know, one of the things that I am privileged to do is to travel the country and work with campuses, work with departments to think about inclusion. And you know, you have enough of these conversations, you get to understand the rhythm, right? And I want to be clear with you. I'm not actually casting blame on people, because I believe that, you know, if systems change in the right way, people's behavior will follow suit. We weren't talking about this in graduate school, especially in STEM, right? And this is partly why this program in particular is so important to me, because we didn't have the kinds of programs that made this, you know, the inclusive psychology that undergirds what meaningful higher education is. We didn't have that, right? So we have thousands and thousands and thousands of faculty members, very good people, who you have to kind of train on the back end to make this whole idea that inclusion is important and it should be a centerpiece of teaching and learning and staff behavior, admin behavior, everything. You're doing this after the fact. So people tend to take on a bit of a defensive posture, right? So they point to, well, you know, we have the MLK breakfast, we have the Hispanic Heritage Month, we celebrate diversity. I'm not saying don't have those things. In fact, I please continue to have it. The food is always great. But I do hope that all of you, when you go on to your next place of occupation, you take with you a much more sophisticated understanding of what inclusion is than the MLK breakfast. And this has to be, this is not just the training, this is not just the radar that you develop for the students who need your services the most. This is also how you hire. This is what you look for in the resumes that come across your desk. These are the tough questions that you ask when they show up for day-long interviews on campus. These are the assessment mechanisms, through which you hold them accountable for always focusing on providing an equitable experience. It's not easy stuff. And it means that some of us are going to have to go back to school and, well, figuratively, like go back to learning and reading new things and understanding new ways of thinking. And you will find that some of you in this audience today are going to be the ones to do the teaching. I'm not saying that in your next university or college or your next place of work that you have to bear the full brunt of the inclusive mission for that school. But I am saying that you have an opportunity to be a leader. And we don't need people who just get master's degrees in higher education. We need people who are able to take others with them, to lift out your climb, to look around and seek ways to not just impart your knowledge, but reach across differences of opinion, have difficult dialogues, and learn to manage that. I'm sure that in the last 2 years, you probably heard the term critical consciousness, a term coined by Paulo Freire, and in it, he's really imploring us as educators to, first of all, be critically conscious ourselves, but also help our students to cultivate and develop that character as they matriculate through our institutions. In other words, higher education in the US, sometimes we kind of default back on this. Well, we want students to know, a particular amount of information, right? We want them to cover this certain amount of topics. And I think the active learning movement, which I think has been mostly good, has really said, no, we want them to be able to actually do things. We want them to go into a job and go into a position of employment and have skills that they can demonstrate. I am saying to you that you have an opportunity to ask students who they want to be. That's a whole different level. All right? If you understand who you want to be, the skills and the knowledge is really the easy part. I don't mean to be simplistic about it, but it really is. If you understand where you're going, the skills and the knowledge will naturally follow suit. You have come at the end of this journey after 2 years because I believe you understood who you wanted to be. That's who I sat with 2 years ago in that room as you began this program. As you walk off this stage today, as you walk away from this campus and into whatever occupation you've been granted, do not forget who you want to be, because it is that vision, it is that sense of purpose that you will impart on every single student that you serve. It was my pleasure to have met you 2 years ago. I wish I would be physically present at Elon to shake your hands today. I'm sure it's nice weather. It's not here, it's New England. My deepest congratulations to you, to your family, to your loved ones, to all who have helped you get to this point in your life. And I hope to see you soon, hopefully in a place where you are actively advocating for students. My best of luck to you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Dr. Dewsbury, for your inspiring remarks. All candidates for the Master of Arts in Higher Education degree, please stand. Madam President, those who stand before you have fulfilled all of the requirements, both as to quantity and quality for the Master of Arts in Higher Education degree. It is my pleasure to present them for conferral of their degree.
By virtue of the authority of the state of North Carolina, vested in me through the Board of Trustees of Elon University, I confer upon you as a graduating class and as individuals the degree of Master of Arts in Higher Education, which entitles you to all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
The following have completed requirements for the Master of Arts in Higher Education degree. Sophia Elizabeth Abbott. Alonzo Earl C. Katie Elizabeth Shishilka. Caroline Denise Dean. Jillian Gabrielle Epperson. Tobin Andrew Finizio III. Shannon Elizabeth Finney. Kiera Dominique Hines. Timothy Bruce Hussey. Natalie Ann Larson. Cameron Michelle Shirley. Angelica Sierra Smith. Taylor Zane Steck. And Taylor Marie Swan. Please join me in congratulating Elon's Master of Arts in Higher Education, class of 2020. Following the charge to the class of 2020, please stand for the recessional.
Graduates, will you please stand for the charge? Members of the class of 2020, the inaugural class of the Elon Masters in Higher Education program, I hope you are as proud as I am today. You are the first, and I hope you like this word, pioneers, and what a remarkable thing it is. To the faculty and staff who imagined this program and then built it, I offer you my personal thanks and congratulations. Elon University is stronger because of your vision and work. And students, you represent the vision they had when they created a pathway here at Elon for talented future leaders in higher education. How exciting is it to imagine something and then build it and see it today? Each day throughout the pandemic and Elon's emergency operations, as I enter Powell Building, I pass a collection of Elon's beautiful admissions view books. The compelling photos visualize our campus, and our prospective students and families read those and imagine their time here at Elon. You probably received many of these when you were in high school. It's one of your first introductions to university and life, and are fondly referred to in higher education as 3 in a tree, because they often feature 3 students and a tree. Learning and individual transformation are beautiful in Elon's view books. For those of us who have the privilege of working with college students, just like you will, we get to witness the sea change of learning. It's powerful. The arrival of a curious college student who sets out on a course of study that eventually changes who they are. And when those undergraduates walk across the stage at graduation or have their degrees awarded virtually, like they will in just a few days, they truly are someone new, someone transformed, and a little like you as graduate students. What we know to be true and what is not in that picture or in the view book is that learning and the transformation that it creates in our lives is often not beautiful. In fact, learning and transformation includes dark periods full of doubt, anxiousness, and fear. And I'm sure you had some of those over the past 2 years. No journey of learning is free from these painful discoveries of ourselves, who we want to be, who we don't want to be, what we regret, and when we are disappointed. In these lonelier moments of discovery, in that doubt and fear, that's when we turn to each other for strength. And in truth, the reason that friendships like those formed in this program and the ones we find across the Elon community are so deep and lifelong is that we actually turn to each other in difficulty and found compassion and understanding. It's our weakness that ties us together, not our strengths. While the coronavirus pandemic is not a class you registered for or a course any of you would have taken, it is without question our teacher. And we find ourselves in the middle of an unanticipated and often painful moment of learning. And trust me, no one wants to be in this moment of uncertainty. Our initial human response to the pandemic and the powerful lesson it's teaching is to retreat. We hear it in the longing question, when can we go back to normal? But that is an impossibility. Instead, the pandemic has invited us all to a transformation. We didn't vote for it, but it is here, and much like our view books, the beauty of spring is the backdrop for this painful learning from this unseen virus. Rather than the impossibility of going back to normal, I charge you to embrace going forward into the unknown with the new knowledge and understanding that this pandemic is teaching us. Rather than back to normal, let's go forward to new, with a deeper understanding of what is essential in our lives. Let's go forward to new, with the renewal you've experienced with your loved ones and families. Go forward to new, with the richer understanding you've gained of the professional courage and critical work of nurses and teachers, cleaning crews, and so many others. Go forward to new, with your deeper awareness of those in need in our communities and around the world. Go forward to new, with your understanding of the demand and power of research and innovation. Let us all go forward to new, Elon, so that we can rise like our mighty phoenix with the powerful lessons the pandemic is teaching us. And while no photograph will be able to capture this painful transformation we are having, it will live in each of you, class of 2020, in each of us, and we will be different. I charge you to be stronger with your new knowledge, richer with your new understanding, and ready for your new future. Today, we offer you a gift in the form of a small oak sapling, symbolizing the strength of the mighty oaks for which Elon is named, Hebrew for oak, planted in a place that will be meaningful to you. And I hope that your office and your home will proudly display your Elon diploma. Stay connected to your alma mater. Elon alumni, many of you second-time double winners, Elon alumni. Congratulations, and please join me on the count of 3 for the Elon tradition. 1, 2, 3. Long live Elon. Congratulations, everyone.